It happened during the year 2003. May was the month, May the 23rd. It started out an ordinary day. I went to the prison's public access building called the PAP, where the regular library is, feeling free to shape my world. I was scheduled in the regular library from 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. and then scheduled in the law library, which was next door, from 2:30 to 3:30 p.m. As I was sitting at a table reading my book, the pleasant librarian, Miss Virginia Persack, she approached me and reminded me that I had an overdue library book. She asked if I can go to my cell and get it and bring it to the library during the next movement period, which would be between 2:30 and 2:40 p.m. A movement period occurs when we prisoners are collected and allowed 10 minutes to go from one point to another. So I agreed. And when the clock struck 2:30, I dashed out the door, leaving my legal papers and legal folders behind on their table to begin upon my time to return. I didn't take them with me because I didn't want them to slow me down. My journey took approximately 7.5 minutes. It's 1.5 minutes to get back to my unit A and B, 2 minutes waiting to be searched, 1 minute to reach my cell, about 30 seconds for staff to let me into my cell, 30 more seconds to find the book, and 1 minute for staff to let me back out of my cell, and then another 1.5 minutes, walk all the way back to the PNB. Now I will return the overdue book, grab my papers, my folders, and continue my day in the law library. At least that's what I thought. However, within those short 7.5 minutes, the world that I had known had completely changed, and I was to discover that I had entered into Twilight Zone. When I walked into the PAB, this corrections officer, Mertens, asked me where was I going. I cheerfully said that this person had asked me to get this library book and bring it to her. Mertens then called Miss Persack, who took about 30 seconds to finish up whatever she was doing, and came to the door of the library. Now then suddenly things got weird. Mertens asked Miss Persack if she said I could stay in the library for as long as I wanted to. Miss Persack answered emphatically, no. Miss Persack laughed. She smelled trouble. Miss Persack and anybody else who ever visited the PAB building knew that Mertens created drama each and every day. And I told Mertens, I did not say Miss Persack said I could stay in the library. I told Mertens, I have to go to the law library next door. But Mertens became frantic and spiraled hopelessly into a world of her own, unable to hear and understand anything I said. She told me to return to my housing unit. I'm standing there with a library book in hand, looking at my legal papers through the library glass window. So I asked Mertens if I could go gather my belongings. But again, acting as though driven by forces unknown, she yelled, no! So I tried to explain that my valuable legal papers must be secured before they get lost or stolen. But we need to go call the ship lieutenant or somebody before leaving my legal papers there. And meanwhile, Miss Persack, watching us through the glass window, she realized that I was not going to be able to give her the overdue library book that was in my hand. So Miss Persack came back to the door and reached for the book, and I handed it to her. I then asked if she would grab my legal papers for me, and she did. Phew. Finally, I thought, there we were. Mission accomplished. Sanity restored. Perhaps now Mertens will calm down and understand what is going on. So I asked Merton if I can go now to the library. But again, Merton snapped back into that dreadful world and yelled at me, "No, return to your unit." So the 10-minute movement period was already over by then. As I headed for the safety and sanctity of my prison cell, corrections officer's beds, who was guarding Tower 9 gate, asked what gives me authority to enter his gate. I said, Merton told me to leave the PEB. I was then allowed to stay back. But I was not safe at all. For on the 27th day of that month, an evil-looking man with long, curved fingers and obvious authority approached my cell and said, "Well, I have 2 minor infractions for you to sign." I approached this man cautiously, unsure of his intentions. I accepted the papers and the man went on his way. The first infraction was written by Merton, claiming I said Miss Persat said I could stay in the library past 2:30, and saying I became argumentative when Merton told me to return to my housing unit. The Mertons did not even mention the library book or my legal papers. The second infraction was written by Bettis, claiming I was late in returning to Unit A and B. Bettis said Merton told him that I had plenty of time to reach my housing unit during the movement period. And then just a few hours later, this unit Sergeant Cannon, came to me and announced that he would postpone my hearing in order to find someone else to judge my infractions because, according to his words, he cannot treat me fairly. Sergeant Cannon was Merton's boyfriend. He said I will be notified when the minor hearing is rescheduled. I was not notified. That same evening, Sergeant Garcia heard my infractions in my absence without even telling me. Found me guilty of both infractions and sentenced me to serve 10 days lost in library, PAB privileges, and 10 days confinement to my cell. Although I appealed my case to a higher authority, to Lieutenant Reynolds, I was commanded to begin serving my sentence at once. I was confined to my cell from 6 o'clock a.m. on May the 28th, 2003, to 6 o'clock p.m. on June the 6th, 2003. And I was banished from the library, PAB, from 6 o'clock a.m. on May the 27th, 2003, to 6 o'clock p.m. June the 17th, 2003. Because of this, I couldn't get a written statement from Ms. Persat to support my appeal until the first day in July. While serving out my sentence, I was not allowed to associate with others in a prison full of convicted criminals. I was being treated as I was the worst one of them all. I tried to keep a good attitude. Long before these infractions, I had already gotten written authorization to attend the library because I had a case in court that required me to file papers on specific dates. Sergeant Cannon resented my use of the law library because he knew I was about to file a lawsuit against him for having previously stolen my property in my grievance petition number 03-09043. So Sergeant Cannon started using these Merton's Bettis infractions to keep me from going to the law library. He said I must now get his permission to go. And he ignored and denied all of my requests. The first time I asked permission, Cannon returned my request to me upon stating, she explained the procedure you can follow. I suggest you read it. The problem is, the cell confinement sheet did not explain how to access the law library. Sergeant Cannon was off work for the next 2 days, during which time units CND Sergeant Autry said I can go to the law library whenever I want because I already have written authorization. She told me to just let you and staff know where I'm going. Well, on the 31st day of May, I told Corrections Officer Cash I need to go to the law library. But this Sergeant Cannon overheard Unit A and B Corrections Officer Sorensen telling Cash over the walkie-talkie that I need to get authorization from Sergeant Cannon. So Cannon called me to his office and said I have to go to the law library, and also said he had given me a major disciplinary infraction because he found out I had attended the law library over the last couple of days. And Sergeant Cannon made Officer Cash write a witness statement claiming that I tried to manipulate him and to let me go to the law library. Because of this, I couldn't go to the law library anymore. Man, I attempted to restore order because this harassment was getting out of hand. I sent one letter to Cannon's supervisor, Unit A and B Manager Bastanovi, and I sent two letters to Bastanovi's supervisor, Corrections Program Manager Howard Anderson, but they both talked stupid and did nothing about the situation. Meanwhile, the hearing for my major disciplinary infraction, written by Sergeant Cannon, was scheduled for July 6, 2003. If found guilty, I would immediately be seized and dragged to the dungeons where I would receive my punishment. Often I pondered my fate. As I approached the Major Harry's office, the gates of hell, I felt myself sinking, falling, slowly and steadily descending into darkness. That is where I met the gatekeeper, Lieutenant Rebels. After I explained the situation, Rebels threw out the major infraction entirely. He said I did not need authorization from Cannon because my law library special access memorandum gave me all the authorization I needed, just like Sergeant Autry had said. State regulation, Washington Administrative Code 137-28-240, Section 4, says I can be confined to my room or cell except for attendance at the law library if a documented court deadline has been imposed. At that moment, the heavens opened up to me, and I saw Rebels, the truest of the keeper of gates. He threw me a lifeline, and he yelled to me, "Hold on!" And through our combined strength, sweat, and tears, he pulled me up and hauled me back into reality, back into the real world. And he comforted me, and I thanked him and I praised him, for he was the angel who saved me from the abyss and commanded that I continue forth to fulfill the truth and righteous destiny that awaited me. And then I walked upon a cloud all the way back to the safety and sanctity of my prison cell. This time there was true safety, for gatekeeper Rebels was in authority to review Sergeant Garcia's finding me guilty of the two minor infractions. Because Ms. Persack's statement explained about the library book and about my legal papers, Rebels threw out those infractions as well, written by Mertens and Bettis. Finally, this madness had ceased. Even in this God-forsaken prison, there is really a true world that is real, a real world that is true. In this world, the real world, the world of reason, order, and justice has prevailed. On the 12th day of August, I had petitioned the grievance 03-16172 about murders and benefits, harassment, and incompetence, which had caused me so much grief. But then my petition was denied because I had not the power to replay the events of that dreadful day. I petitioned for grievance number 03-11178 against Sergeant Cannon for harassment, for denying me access to the law library, and for his incompetence. But in response, his superintendent, Robert Moore, stated, it appears there was some communication issues that developed into irritation on both parts. The appropriate action was taken. Then the Deputy Director of Corrections agreed.
You have 1 minute left.
And they refused to specify what appropriate action was taken. And I petitioned grievance number 03-11867 against both Sergeant Cannon and Corrections Officer Cass for lying on me, for stressing me out, and causing me to miss several more law library. But I was given the same response as my petition grievance number 03-11178, except that I was told that just because staff were wrong doesn't mean staff committed misconduct. Now, obviously, it's appropriate action that could not have been taken since those who were in charge felt that neither Mertens, Bettis, Cannon, nor Garcia here had committed any type of misconduct. But they all had violated the law and prison rules. State law required Mertens to provide maximum feasible safety for my property. And when she writes an infraction, she must include all essential facts. DOC employees are guilty of misconduct if they neglect a duty, if they are inefficient, incompetent, indolent, or if they violate any rule. Mertens neglected her duty and committed misconduct when she omitted from her infraction report that I was returning an overdue library book. She left this out in order to promote her delusion that I was trying to stay in the Ms. Persack's library past my scheduled 1:30 to 2:30 allotted time. When she said I became argumentative, Mertens was making a misleading statement and denying the maximum feasible safety of my legal property when she omitted that I was just asking for my legal papers. If it had not been for Ms. Persack grabbing my legal papers for me, Mertens would have caused them to have gotten lost. Mertens left these facts out of her report in order to trick a hearings officer into punishing me for trying to return the overdue library book and for asking for my legal papers. Mertens also lied when she claimed I had plenty of time to make it back to my housing unit. No matter how you look at it, I could not have had plenty of time. When Sergeant Cannon and Unit Manager Pastrana, they were incompetent when they insisted that I needed special authorization from Sergeant Cannon for attend the law library. Sergeant Cannon violated the rules and neglected his duty when he refused to notify me of the rescheduled hearing, which caused me to be found guilty without my being present or defending myself at the hearing. And Cannon either lied or he was grossly incompetent when he denied my law library request by stupidly saying that self-employment sheet explains the procedure you must follow. I suggest you read it. And reading these responses to my grievance petitions, my stable world of sense and reason, order and justice, will all start to crumble and wither away. Suddenly, this strange, delusional world projected and imposed upon me by these delusional, treacherous people reared its ugly head once again, as if to hide and promote vile obsessions and treacherous misconduct and abuse. In this delusional world of neurotic prison employees posing as competent and beautiful public servants, according to their supporters, it's okay for them to act like drunken, inebriated buffoons. They can leave things out of their reports in order to cause me wrongful punishment. They can punish me for asking for my legal papers and for keeping them from getting lost or destroyed. They can punish me for following Sergeant Autry's instructions. They can prevent me from telling my side of the story until I have already served out my punishment. They can violate the rules or deliberately deny me access to the criminal law library while I have written authorization to the court deadline. They can threaten to throw me into the dungeon and further punish me there just because I follow the rules. And after I have proven each of them totally and completely wrong, none of them get punished for any of this. And they don't even give me an apology. And this, they say, is acceptable behavior from the public servant. I felt myself shaking and being thrown back down into the murky depths of the unknown, into the deepness and darkness of the abyss, where the worst, vilest of demons lie to steal and devour the precious souls of many. And during my descent, my soul itself, myself, tempered by an unadulterated wisdom of the true escaped people of all, bellowed out to me, screaming that I must stop. Stop this mess. Stop the descent. Stop the falling. Stop and fight. And continue to fight. And never stop fighting. For fear of being hopelessly lost and forever doomed and feasted upon in the ill-fated dark realm known to us as